Hey guys, Pastor Tim here. I'm here joined today with your children's coordinator. Today we've been talking as we're going through the book of Romans. We've come to chapter 15 where Paul says some interesting things that has caused us as a staff to be talking this week. And I gave them the assignment, or told them, gave them a warning that I wanted to do a little short interview with each one of them and asking them a few questions that parallel some things that Paul says here in the end of chapter 15. So Kayla McGehee is here with us today, is your children's coordinator, and we're going to be talking with her some today about her calling to the Lord, her calling to ministry, her administrative duties here, and how we can partner in prayer with her. We're doing a series of these videos you'll be watching through, hopefully, with each one of the staff members. And so we're really excited to talk first with Kayla here today. So Kayla, let's start, if you don't mind, just tell us a little bit about your background in the church, the Christian church, your faith. Like, when did you come to know Christ? How did that happen? And then how did that lead to your feeling, if you have a feeling of being called to vocational ministry?
Well, I grew up in church, was saved at a young age. I was saved in second grade. My grandmother is someone who my whole life has been someone I've looked up to spiritually, and so she got the opportunity to walk me through being saved, and so that was really cool. After that, I continued to grow in my faith. I grew up in a very large church, learned several different things about the church, and when I was 13 or 14, my mom and I were able to get baptized together, which was kind of cool. And so we were able to have that together. After that, I continued to grow up in church. My husband and I, while we were dating, we were serving in church together, grew up, got married, and continued to serve together. And so pretty much just grew up in church my whole life.
Awesome. Was it what kind of church? Was it a Christian church, Baptist church,
Baptist
Methodist
church.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Baptist.
I have gone to Methodist and Baptist in my life.
Okay. All right, cool. So tell me about once you felt that call of the Holy Spirit, you responded, and then, like you said, you were serving in the church as a teenager, a young adult? What age were you when you were talking about you and Alex were?
Well, we started serving when we were teens, as long as they would let us. I got out of children's ministry and went straight into serving it, but I didn't feel the calling for a while. I did feel the calling to be involved in children's ministry most of my life.
You were serving before you felt a calling to ministry.
Yes, absolutely.
What were you serving? What were you doing?
I was serving in the kids ministry. Okay. So I served from kindergarten up. I took a group from kindergarten up to 5th grade, and then even before that, my husband and I were serving in preschool at my church, at the old church, and so it's been cool. I feel like I've seen all the way through.
So before you felt your calling to ministry.
Yeah.
You were serving in the church. Right. You and Alex. Tell me about your serving. What exactly were you doing?
Yeah, so we were working directly with kids from preschool all the way up to 5th grade. We had experience with all the ages, and that grew us in our own spiritual walk, because there's something about serving yourself and being able to pour into others. You have to be prepared. To B, it's serving together with someone. We were dating, and then we were married, still serving, and there's something about serving with your spouse. No, God doesn't always call you to serve with your spouse, but if you can at any season, it is such a blessing to see your spouse in that capacity, to be able to work with them, for y'all to prepare together beforehand and to pray about it beforehand. It just really strengthens your own relationship. But you asked earlier, I was never called, to my knowledge, to be fully in ministry. I thought I was going to be in the corporate world for my whole life. I thought I was going to be an executive. I would have my babies and be executive. I thought I'd be a mom and be fully in work for 60 plus hours a week. I loved it. I loved the thrill of it. And several times you preached on how, when you were a policeman, how the Lord was like, no, I want you to do something different. Don't let me tell you again. Well, every time you talked about it, the Lord saying it for a second time, I would feel a real big pull.
Jonah 3:1.
Every time and so I finally, just afterwards, I started having conversations like, okay, what's next for me, Lord? And I even searched around. I was like, is it to go teach at a Christian school? Is it to, I had no clue. I knew the Lord was calling me to do more in the church or in a Christian school or in some sort of Christian environment, but I didn't know what. So I searched for a long time. And then finally, the Lord just made it very evident and very clear, hey, this is where I want you. And I, for a minute, was like, okay, Lord, is this real? I wanted to be an executive at a big company for my whole life. I was going to retire at a company like that. And you want me to go and do this. So finally, I was obedient. And when I did, I could just feel the Lord moving things in ways to protect me. There were certain worries that I had along the way that he just worked out and aligned to where it all worked out to where I took this job. And I don't know, it's been a blessing ever since.
But before God paved the path for you to work full time in ministry and get paid, then you continued to serve the Lord.
That's correct.
Tell me a little bit about that. What did you do in your waiting? You weren't actually waiting. You didn't know you were waiting for this career path, but you knew that God had something for you to do more in the church. And so did you just take a hiatus and say, hey, I'm gonna go up to the mountain and pray and wait for God to tell me before I get busy doing something? What did you do in the midst of your waiting for God to be clear, this is exactly where I want you?
Yeah, so I kind of dug in my heels and kept doing more. I kept picking up new things at the church. I kept talking to the leadership at the church, hey, talk to me about how this works. How does this work at our church? How does this flow? What's the process? I started really digging into just more in-depth things. How do you know when you want to do an event? And why do we have these events? Or how do you know to plan for these kids? Just different things that I started really digging into. I was serving in the children's ministry, so I knew that was a passion of mine. So I was talking to those that had been serving there for longer than I have, seeking advice from those that are much more further in their spiritual walk than I am, because I think it's important to get help when you feel like, especially because I was in such a season of I knew something was going to change, but I didn't know what. And so I think in that moment, who you ask, who you talk to, who you research with, who you trust enough to get advice from, has to be someone solid in their faith.
I can relate to you a little bit in that when Tanya and I got married, I think I've probably told you, you've heard the story. We spent our honeymoon at Super Wow with kids with youth ministry. And I've always said, I didn't recognize at the time, that actually wasn't even planned, that's the way it worked out. But I think probably looking back, it was a little bit of foreshadowing for how our lives would be for then on. If she was willing to give her honeymoon to serve a bunch of youth at Jekyll Island, then she's going to be a fantastic minister's wife.
Yeah.
I think so. Thank you for I think it's great that you and Alex began your life together, even in a dating relationship. Which I try to tell young people, never date someone that you wouldn't marry, because you never know where your heart's going to take you. And so if you are serving together when you're dating, that's I think that's a great foundation that will carry you a long ways later on. So that's your calling. You feel like your calling is to tell me if you could define your calling from the Lord specifically, what would that be, you think?
I think I've always said that I love to love people, all ages. And I think the big piece of my calling here is to help others shine for Jesus. So whether that's helping someone decide, like from a child's perspective, help, lead and guide them spiritually, help deepen their relationship with the Lord, or from a volunteer's perspective of, are you in the right spot? Are you where the Lord's calling you to be? Or are you just filling a hole where there's a hole? Because there's a difference when you're serving with the heart of being where the Lord is calling you versus you're just, I'm here.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of my passions is if someone's, looking for something or looking for where the Lord wants them to be, I want to get to know them. A lot of people say that I ask a lot of questions, and I do, because I really, truly care about who someone is and what they care about. Because if you're where you're passionate about, it's not work. It's not draining you. Instead, it's filling you. If everyone could see the blessing of a 4th and 5th grade teacher who is where they're supposed to be and them pouring out to these kids and just see them light up. It is just so cool. Or to see, someone come organize a closet in the church that needs to be organized, and they get done, and it's like the smile on their face when they've worked hard, but they haven't just done it for themselves, they've done it for the Lord, and that's what the Lord has given them. That's a gift he's given them to do. And so to be able to see those people like shine for Jesus and grow in their faith towards Jesus is really cool.
So you feel like a big part of your calling is to help people find their calling. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. I so relate to that. So that is heavily administrative. So let's talk about. So Paul, in this passage that we're studying this week in Romans, if I get there. I turned to the wrong passage. Give me just a second. So in Romans chapter 15, here at the end of chapter 15, Paul's kind of wrapping up his letter to the church at Rome. And he says to them, my brothers and sisters, I'm convinced about you that you are full of goodness, filled with all knowledge and able to instruct one another. So Paul is telling them, Paul didn't plant the church at Rome. He is an overseer to them. He loves them. He cares about them. And he says in here, I long to come to you, and one day I'll come and hang out. But in the meantime, I have some administrative tasks I need to do. But see, in this part, he's saying, hey, you guys are equipped to do some things on your own and to help each other grow. All right, so Kayla, you handle a lot of administrative stuff around here. You get, not only do you make the children's ministry work by handling administrative tasks, you also handle a lot of administrative stuff for me. You, in general, like overseeing the maintenance of the building, and we have people who oversee certain teams that you oversee those people and that kind of thing. So you just really kind of bring a lot of stuff together and make all of that work. Talk about what do you do administratively, including but not limited to the children's department.
Yeah, so weekly lessons, right, and get those out that follow the sermon on Sunday morning. We think it's important that the whole family unit grows together, and so that's a way we can do that. So we try to focus on the same scripture that's being taught on Sunday mornings in big church from 2-year-olds up. age appropriate, of course. And then weekly rotation or annual, really, of this schedule for the volunteers, keeping them on track, helping them know if they have out, get subs, things like that. Let's see. I don't know.
What do you do? Tell me about the maintenance. You do something with maintenance?
Yeah. So we have a maintenance team that is made up with amazing volunteers that have the best skill sets to help run this building. Everywhere from can we change this light bulb to how do we fix the AC unit to everything in between. And so when a problem happens or when something arises, we take it and see whose skill set and availability kind of works out in the timeline, and then we try and get it done. So we work together. I think it's really cool to see the congregation taking care of the church in that way, and so that's a way I can help it keep moving in certain areas, things that need to get done.
You plan a lot of the family events and so forth, the special events we have?
Yes. I come from a background of planning events, and so it's like second nature for me to be kind of involved in those, and I really enjoy it. It's cool to see people who love to decorate, pull them into decorating team in that event and things like that. It goes along with what I think my calling is highlighting them in the ways that they can succeed.
It's just, again, identifying people's calling and putting them, getting the right people in the right seats on the bus.
That's right.
You know, I feel like that's a major part of my calling as senior pastor, and so it helps when others that work with me have a similar calling because we speak the same language, kind of. Yeah. So I appreciate that from you. So if there's some people watching this video that feel like they're not in a seat on the bus, they're standing up in the aisle right now, and they're like, I know that there's a seat for me somewhere. I just don't know what it is. How do they figure that out?
Yeah.
And what do they do? Should they contact you? How do they do that?
Yeah. So there's several things they do. First, think about what you love. Because if you're serving where you're passionate, then it is not feel like work. Otherwise, it'll feel like work. So if they find out what they love to do, it could be, hey, I'm a teacher, and I really love planning lessons. Okay, great. We can use you. Hey, if it's I don't love to see people, I want to do something in the background. I want to paint a classroom. Okay, let's see what we can do there. The Lord has given everybody a talent. The Lord has given everybody a passion, and I think any of your talents and passions can be used here. It could also be some things you do at work. If you're a maintenance man at work, it may be great for you to be on the maintenance team here. If you are an electrician, we could use that, and you could probably add a lot of value that we don't have already.
Absolutely. Plumber.
Yeah, plumber would be great. So if you're sitting there thinking, what do I do if I don't know what my calling is? First, think about yourself. Think about what you do, and if you're married, ask your spouse or your children, like, what do I seem to enjoy doing? If it's being creative, then maybe it's part of, a decorations team, or there's so many things that you could do. But if you're looking to get involved in that way, you, of course, can stop any of the pastors. You can stop me on a Sunday morning. You can email us. You can call the front desk. We'll get you connected. There's lots of ways you can get to us.
How do you feel like organizing a grass cutting team, or fixing a leaky faucet, or painting a classroom, or whatever? How do you feel like that helps advance the gospel?
In so many ways. It doesn't just advance the person that's doing it. It advances the child that's watching. It advances the people at home that are like, oh, they're up at the church serving the church. It advances distance family members who aren't involved in church but see you spending your time, money, and effort here at the church. In addition, it advances the build, like it maintains being a good steward of what the Lord has given us. Because He wants us to take care of His home, His church.
If we don't have, it's much harder for us to reach our particular community if we don't have a church building to reach them with, right?
That's right.
And if we're in here trying to have church and there's, water dripping from the ceiling, which it was when we first moved in here, actually right over there was literally every time it rained, water would drip in buckets. And I've preached with water dripping from the ceiling, and that is very distracting. And so it helps, people to be able to focus in on the gospel and study and grow when all of those things are taken care of, doesn't it? I mean, you don't have to be on the stage preaching or even in a classroom teaching to be spreading the gospel.
Right.
All those things that you do help spread the gospel. So let me ask you this. Beyond volunteering to do those work things, physical, hands-on stuff, Paul goes on in verse 30. He says, "Now I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, through our Lord Jesus Christ and through the love of the Spirit, to strive together." Those two words, appeal and strive. He's saying, I'm pleading with you to come alongside me and work with me. But how? With me in fervent, again, another key word, prayer. Fervent. It's serious, deep, not just saying, a rote prayer like a blessing, but really pouring the heart out and pleading with the Lord. He says, through the love of the Spirit, to strive together with me in fervent prayer to God on my behalf. The church people are called, I believe as Paul is saying, to partner with you in fervent prayer. Yeah. To help you spread the gospel, to help you do the administrative tasks like Paul was just talking about he was going to do, so that you can be hands-on, one-on-one with a child and teaching him or her the gospel or writing a lesson and doing those things that maybe they're not called to do. So beyond doing those things that support you that way, how can we strive with you in fervent prayer?
Well, I think there's so much to pray for. I could name a million things offhand. I think one of my biggest things is being able to have discernment of who needs what when. So there's so many volunteers and so many children and so many just people that I come in contact with. And so one of my biggest prayers on a daily basis is, Lord, please let me have the conversations you need me to have today. It doesn't matter what's on my schedule, but whoever you need me to touch today, talk to today, pray with today, Lord, let that be your plan, not mine. Yeah. Being a planner by nature, a lot of times I have the things that I want to get done when. And so my biggest prayer also is to just be fully on his timeline. Yeah. I prepare so that he can do what he wants to do. Right. So that would be one of the biggest things I think could be prayed for.
Let me ask you this. In your personal life, what you're comfortable sharing, how can we pray for you and your family and your personal walk with Christ? Yeah. Whatever, however.
Yeah, that's actually the next point I was going to say was, honestly, I would love prayer on just keeping time in the Word. We get so busy. And I have my daily devotion, but there are some days and times that I really could be better and spend more time. And if we are not filling our own cups first, then we're pouring empty. And God can use us, and I'm not saying that He can't, but we have to be able to be full. And so being able to step back and take that time, even more time would be great, but whatever the Lord wants.
Absolutely.
But so that's my prayer, is just to be very intentional with what He's guiding and leading me to.
Well, listen, on behalf of the church, I'm so thankful that the Lord called you not just to ministry, but to ministry at Lighthouse. And on behalf of the people, I want to say thank you. Thank you for working so hard, doing such a great job that you do around here. You take a lot off of my plate, off of our plates, by handling a lot of administrative tasks, and you do it well. You do it. You go the extra mile on a regular basis, and you've heard me and maybe hopefully a little bit adopted my theory of we do things with excellence, and I really appreciate that. So just thank you for that. And I want to tell you, I do pray for you every day, but my prayer is that our people will watch this video and feel a calling to partner with you, not just after watching this video, but on a daily fervent prayer, and to put feet to that prayer and to come volunteer and help you, take some load off you. And I'm hoping that God calls some people through this video. So thank you for all you do. I'm so thankful to be your pastor, so thankful to lead Kayla and to have staff like Kayla. I hope you are too, and I can't wait to see you this Sunday. Love you.